Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we ask the question, which founding chapter has the best successor bloodline? No real need for a spoiler warning today, but just keep in mind we will be referencing events from across the lore of Warhammer 40k. But with that said, let's waste no more time and just jump straight in. Now originally I was going to have this discussion next week, after we'd had our week's focus on the Successor chapters. But I always enjoy these kind of conversations, so I just thought, what the heck, let's do it now. And of course look, there are no best and worst bloodlines, just the ones we each prefer. Just how we all individually feel about the lore. As I always say, there are no right or wrong answers. It's the beauty of the lore. Just having these conversations with your mates. So drop your own thoughts in the comments below as always. And well, I think undoubtedly the number one place to begin with any conversation about Successor chapters just absolutely has to be the Successors of the Ultramarines. If you were to talk in terms of sheer number of victories, how could they not take your vote? In the aftermath of the heresy, it was truly the sons of Guilliman who held the Imperium together. His legion obviously broken into the most chapters. Though to be fair here, you could argue that is due to him largely missing out on the fighting of the heresy, infamously arriving late to Terra. Now, the Heresy series did remedy this somewhat, raising the stakes with Lorgar and Angron's invasion of Ultramar. But the fact remains, Guilliman and the Ultramarines weren't at Terra. So their real fight is to come in the years after, within the Scouring. In the centuries following, Guilliman's bloodline dominated the Successor foundings to come. His bloodline always one of the most stable and pure. As a result, the Successor chapters of the Ultramarines became as integral to the Imperium's current survival as the legacy of their parent chapter. Names such as the Nova Marines, the Aurora chapter, White Consuls, Silver Skulls, Scythes of the Emperor, and I could go on for quite a while. Even though with the Ultima founding, the other Primarch bloodlines are now being used in equal measure, loyal ones at least, the Ultramarines bloodline remains the bastion of the Imperium's defense, and it will do so for centuries to come. Now that Guilliman himself has returned, the responsibilities even continue to rise. Now being tasked with positions such as Tetrarch of the expanding Ultramar. More politician or ruler than warrior. Yet Guilliman is certain his sons are up to the task. And so who are we to truly doubt him? In any conversation regarding chapter bloodlines, you would be hard pressed to overlook the Ultramarine Successors. They have dominated this area for 10,000 years, and that is a legacy not to be overlooked. Moving on, well, we have my beloved Space Wolves. However, traditionally the chapter has been the sole bearer of Russ's legacy, since the fall of the Wolf Brothers chapter long ago. Now though, with the Ultima founding, Space Wolf Successors once more bestride the stars. But it's far too early for them to stake a claim as the greatest or best Successor bloodline. So for me, I don't really feel we can include the line of Russ in this conversation. So what of, say, the White Scars Successors? Well, while maybe a rank outsider, with few of their successors maybe being well known, there can be absolutely no doubt they embody the fury and wrath of the Kargan to perfection, and they most certainly retain the awesome character of their forebears. The Dark Hunters have garnered a huge mistrust of machines and the Adeptus Mechanicus, preferring to rely on their innate warrior nature. The Solar Hawks embody the storm spirit of Jagatai, having entire companies dedicated to the lightning-fast airborne assaults. The Stormlords have culture akin to the tribal nature of Chagoris, keeping a fierce rivalry with their parent chapter for glory. And even with the latest Ultima founding, the Storm Reapers are undoubtedly one of the new Primaris chapters leading the way, at the forefront of carving the Primaris legacy. In the centuries to come, the Storm Reaper's name could even rival that of the White Scars. So no, maybe the White Scar successors aren't as widely known as the more famed Sons of Guilliman. Hopefully they'll receive a little more spotlight in the years to come. We did recently see the Storm Reapers featured in the Dawn of Fire series, which was a nice surprise, and they most certainly do the spirit of Chagoris and the Kargan proud. While maybe I can't say they're greatest in terms of renown or victories, there's a definite argue to be had for retaining the character and spirit of the Primarch's nature. The White Scar successors certainly don't appear to have diverted so much in character as some of the Sons of Guilliman, for example. And well, if you want to talk about bloodlines retaining the hallmarks and traits of their forebears, well then you should look no further than the Iron Hand successors. The Primarch Ferrus Manus was an absolute tank. There's just no other way to describe the guy. He was a head bigger than Vulcan, and while he may not have had the Lord of Drake's strength, he most definitely ran him close. Ferrus Manus could weather any fire, push through any opposition to get to his objective. And the sons of his legion were no different. And it's something their successors exhibit to perfection to this day. The Sons of Medusa rival their parent chapter for sheer armoured firepower, arguably being the paramount chapter on the tactic in all the Adeptus Astartes. Whether the Iron Hands themselves or the Sons of Medusa, we're talking out and out armoured annihilation. The Brazen Claws chapter are famous for their sheer determination. Even in arriving late to the defence of Cadia, the chapter still launched a full-scale counter-assault against the Chaos forces, giving their all to stem the tides in the midst of the erupting Great Rift. The Iron Lords chapter have single-handedly prevented High Fleet Kraken harvesting the strength of the Xeno Barghezi. I mean, come on, if you want a bloodline that encapsulates everything their Primarch and Legion were, you absolutely cannot do better than the Iron Hand successors. No, they may not have the numbers, but man do they have the character. Next up we have the Imperial Fist successors. Now, despite the Imperial Fists not being one of my favourite chapters, nothing against them, I just prefer others. Despite Rogol probably not making it into my top 5 favourite Primarchs generally. Let's have a think off the top of my head: Russ, Jagatai, Guilliman, the Lion, and Vulcan. So yeah, it's hard for Dawn to make it into my top 5. But despite that, I have to say when it comes to successor lineages, the Imperial Fists line just absolutely smash it. The Black Templars, the Crimson Fists. I mean, do I even need to name any others? The Black Templars are the Eternal Crusaders. For Sigismund, for Dawn, for the Emperor. They alone have continued the Great Crusade, eradicating and eliminating the foes of mankind wherever they lay across the galaxy. No pity, no remorse, no fear. High Marshal Helbrecht, Grimaldus, Hell's Reach, Sigismund. These are iconic names within the fabric of 40k. If you don't have the Black Templars, you just don't have the 40k universe. It was the first High Marshal Sigismund who faced Abaddon upon his emergence from the Eye of Terror. And the Templars truly are upon more battlefields than any other chapter, for they have never bowed to Guilliman's Codex mandates. How many Templars are out there across the galaxy? No one truly knows, save perhaps the High Marshal himself. It's rumoured, even likely, to be within the tens of thousands, possibly even higher. For all that zeal within the Templars, however, there remains that bond and fraternity with their fellow Sons of Dawn chapters. They remain tied to their blood. As we have discussed earlier this week, with their attempts to aid their fellow Celestial Lions chapter, even prepared to go to war with the Inquisition over it. And the Celestial Lions themselves, no truer exemplars of the tenacity and sheer refusal to submit of Rogel himself could you find. Their story is one of constant betrayal and manipulation, yet still they refuse to bow down, to disgrace their honour. They continue to fight in the name of their Primarch, very much in the mould of the Crimson Fists, who beneath the rule of Pedro Cantor have survived one of the most tragic setbacks to befall any chapter in the history of the Imperium, with the loss of their fortress monastery and the majority of their chapter in one single stroke. The fact the Crimson Fists survived it is a testament to their resolve, to Cantor's leadership. And so it's no surprise it is to him that Guilliman placed the leadership and defense of the entire Loki subsector. For within Cantor, he surely saw the hallmarks of his brother Rogel. There of course are other names out there, the lesser known Hammers of Dawn, the Iron Knights, the Sons of the Phoenix. Okay, maybe not them. The Soul Drink, okay, not those either. But it's undoubtedly a formidable legacy, and the Sons of Dawn do appear to have been able to retain that strong sense of unity amongst their bloodline. It's a legacy the Imperium has depended on more than once for their very survival, including the secret Last Wall Protocol, the legacy of Dawn in the aftermath of bowing to Guilliman's Codex Astartes. Should Terra truly ever come under grave threat, the Imperial Fists and their successors were to unify as a legion once more. The feats, the legacy, the history of Guilliman and the Ultramarine Successors will forever be hard to match, nigh on impossible. But if there's any group of Successor chapters who could not only match them, but even surpass them, for their unity, for their resolve at least, well then it could well be the line of Rogel Dawn. But okay, that's it for part 1 today. Tomorrow we'll cover the rest of the Successor bloodlines, and we'll round it up with a final discussion, nailing down just who is going to get my vote. It's hard to ever look past the accomplishments of Guilliman's successors, but hey, you know my love for the Templars and the Crimson Fists, even the Celestial Lions now as well. Tomorrow we've got some undoubted heavy hitters to come, the Unforgiven, the line of Sanguinius, and well, even the Raven Guard too. But as always everyone, what do you think? Who is going to get your nod so far? Considering the sheer numbers and tallies of victories of Guilliman's line, do you feel his sons have to get the nod in terms of greatest Successor chapters? Does the character of the Iron Hand sway your vote? Or does the sheer greatness of the Black Templars, the Crimson Fists, the tale of the Celestial Lions win you over? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. With that said, I am off, and we'll continue this discussion with part 2 tomorrow.